Elderly Biden mistakes French president's name. Can't think of words, remains silent for a while. Biden had a hard time coming up with the word Hamas. The day before, he mistakenly called the President Macron as Mitterrand. Amid continued concerns about President Joe Biden's old age ahead of next year's U.S. presidential election, Biden was exposed on the 6th as hesitating for a while because he could not remember the name of Hamas, an Islamic militant group that is at war with Israel. On this day, President Biden met with reporters immediately after a White House speech emphasizing the handling of an emergency budget plan, including support for Israel and Ukraine, and asked about the situation in the Middle East, saying this is a question of American power and there is some movement. After that, he couldn't speak for a while. He said there was a reaction, but failed to complete the sentence, and then fell silent again, saying there was a reaction on the other side. And then, yes, sorry. There was a response from Hamas, he said, then completing the sentence. This moment was preceded by a joint press conference held by Qatari Prime Minister Mohammed bin Abdulrahman Al Thani with the U.S. Secretary of State Tony Blinken, who was visiting Qatar. It was interpreted that Biden was referring to the joint press conference held between the two countries in which he said, "We have received a response from Hamas regarding the general framework of the agreement on hostages." At a campaign rally in Las Vegas on the 4th, while talking about the G7 summit he attended after winning the 2020 US presidential election, Biden incorrectly referred to French President Emmanuel Macron, who attended the meeting at the time, as former President François Mitterrand. President Biden said at the G7 meeting, "I declared America is back." Then Mitterrand from Germany, or rather from France, looked at me and said, "How long will you be back?" However, the attendee at the time was President Macron. Former President Mitterrand served as President of France from 1981 to 1995, when President Biden was serving as a senator, and passed away in 1996, 28 years ago. When the White House distributed President Biden's remarks as a press release, they crossed out or erased Mitterrand and changed the name to Macron. With the presidential race starting in earnest, Biden's series of speech mistakes I expected to become a target of attack for the opposing camp. Former United Nations Ambassador Nikki Haley, a Republican presidential candidate, took aim not only at President Biden, who is over 80, but also at former President Donald Trump, who is 77 and is her rival in the party's primary this year, saying, "I'm concerned about the cognitive ability of older politicians," and said, "I do not support candidates over the age of 75. It has been argued that a mental ability test should be implemented. If America's head of state is too old, there could be various potential crises. A lack of physical and mental capacity in an elderly leader may lead to uncertainty and instability in decision-making and governance." the inability to respond swiftly and decisively to emerging crises due to cognitive decline and physical limitations could exacerbate their impact. Missteps in communication or misunderstandings with foreign leaders could strain international relations and lead to diplomatic crises. Poor management of economic policies or failure to adapt to changing economic conditions could result in economic downturns or financial crises. Inadequate handling of security threats or failure to address emerging security challenges could jeopardize national security and safety. Americans deeply concerned that either Biden, who is 81 this year, or Trump, who is 77, becoming president may pose significant danger to the United States due to their advanced age and perceived lack of cognitive ability. Thank you for watching. This is Tony.